Boy, life is a lot different when you got two of them things. And for those who know, it hits different. So excuse the kid for the tardiness. Always charge it to my head, not my heart. Always. Okay. I always aim to be on time. Rarely ever am I ever on time. But the goal is to be on time. So forget about all of that. Got a lot to get to. Another bombshell trade in the National Football League. Don't you love this time of the year? My goodness. Lion season is delivering in all of its splendor. And so we'll get to the next big trade. And there may be another big domino that may fall here shortly. So buckle your seatbelts. We got a number of topics to discuss as you are dialed in to the 244th installment of the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. The Louie T Network is powered by the Card Collector Series. Join me, your man, Louie T, on my journey back into the card collecting space with the Card Collector Series on YouTube. Link is in the description. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 244th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Of course, I'm your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. A lot to get to today. We'll make it a nice, brief podcast. I know I'm early. I'm a midday marauder today for sure. Got some things to get to this evening, so don't have the kind of time that I normally have towards the end of the day. So wanted to get this in. I didn't want to go another full day without speaking on the next big trade that came down the pipeline, because we've had several moves this week that have sent shockwaves through the NFL, and the latest is Khalil Mack back out west. Return of the Mack. Oh yeah, return of the Mack. He's back in the AFC West, where it all started, this time as a member of the Los Angeles Chargers. The AFC West arms race. I told you it's the Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West. It's the Wild Wild West, man. Out there in the AFC West. And you better go get your guns, man. Get your guns, get a ton of ammo. You're going to need it. You're going to need it. Get your guns, get you plenty of ammo, because it's not a game out here. And the team with the most ammunition and the most weapons, guns and shit, as I like to call it, the team with the most guns and shit who know how to use them is going to end up coming out on top. And if you can come out on the top of that division, you're going to be a much tougher, thick-skinned team when it's all said and done. You're going to be ready, okay? Hardened, callous. You're going to be ready when it comes postseason time. You're going to look at the rest of these teams and say, shit, this is all you got? I came from the AFC West, man. Like, if that's all you got, I'm about to smoke your ass. So it's going to get real in the field out here, and everybody's doing what they can. The only team kind of sitting on their hands right now are the Raiders, which who expects the Raiders to really be in this thing when it's all said and done? Maybe we're short, selling them short. But at the end of the day, after what Denver has done, what the Chargers are doing right now, and what the Chiefs are, okay, the Chiefs are just having the guys that they have. They're going to lose Tyrann Mathieu. We'll see what they do to offset that. But the Chiefs are, it's just tough right now for any team in that division. You got to keep stockpiling stuff. So let's start there. Let's start there with our show today and the big trade of Khalil Mack from the Bears to the Chargers. Let's get to our gem dropping session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind. Let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up. Thinking a little bit. So, Khalil Mack traded for the second time in his career. Back west this time, okay? First time he was in the league, he was a member of the Oakland Raiders. Then he was traded to the Chicago Bears. Now he's being traded from the Bears to the Chargers for a second-round pick this year and a sixth-round pick next year. So the interesting part about this isn't the compensation, because the compensation really isn't a lot. for a guy the stature of a Khalil Mack. Now, he needs to be healthy, which he hasn't really totally been the last 2 seasons, specifically last year where he barely played for the Bears. So I think they were looking to get out of his contract, which they essentially did, and mission accomplished. And I think that's why the compensation is what it is, because of the money that was involved. So they're moving that off the books. The Bears still are going to eat some dead money here. You know, there's some dead cap that they just can't escape, but they're not on the hook after that. And so they get a clean bill of health financially in 2023, and that's what they're looking towards. And that's when they'll probably start to try to rebuild that into a bully in Chicago. But they were ready to move on from Khalil Mack, and I don't blame them. You know, at this point, you tried to go and win a chip. You know, you felt like you were on the cusp after you saw Mitchell Trubisky go in there, play well. You thought Matt Nagy was a coach that was going to take you to the promised land after his first year, where he got Coach of the Year consideration. I don't know if he won Coach of the Year or not, but he was probably in consideration if he didn't win. They won that division that year. And they just felt like, hey, a piece here, piece there, maybe puts us over the top. They go get Khalil Mack to try to push that, take their game to the next level, and it just never came to fruition. So that window's closed, and you don't need to still be holding on to pieces that you can't really use properly at this point in your advanced stages of that window that was once open. That window is now closed, so you shouldn't be hoarding pieces that other teams can use. So the Bears do the right thing, move on from Khalil Mack, and put themselves in a position to clear the books in 2023. So for the Chargers, they're looking around, and I'm not saying that this is a knee-jerk reaction to what the Broncos just did, but I gotta think that watching the Broncos go out and get Russell Wilson really made them feel like, hey, we need to do something. Now, this could have been in the works for Tom Telesco, or as a lot of the Chargers fans like to call him, Coupon Tom. This might have been in the works with Tom Telesco for the last 2 weeks, for the last 2 months. Who's to say? You know, maybe he had his eye on Khalil Mack the entire time. And once the Bears found a new GM and they found a new head coach, and they realized that the Bears may be going in a different direction, because anytime you get a new GM, he's going to want to come in there and put his thumbprint on the entire roster and organization. So one of the things that a new GM likes to do is come in and get rid of dead weight, guys that he did not acquire, that they look at and say, he's no longer an asset to us on the field. He can be an asset, however, in terms of draft capital and cap space. So let's move him and let's hit the reset button. And they identified a guy in Khalil Mack, did the Chargers, that was an expendable asset for the Bears. They go and pluck him away. Yeah, they're going to have to pay that price tag. They don't mind, because the way they view it, they've got a window that is open for the next decade. When you got a guy like Justin Herbert, just like the Chiefs, their window is open for the next, maybe 5 more years of what they've done. Okay, eventually Tyreek Hill is going to get older, and Travis Kelce won't be the same player. And if they don't replace those guys with guys of equal or greater value, then their window starts to shut a bit. But as long as they've got Travis Kelce playing at a high level and Tyreek Hill playing at a high level, and they got Patrick Mahomes, and that defense isn't awful, they'll be in a position to make it to the Super Bowl. And the Chargers feel like with Justin Herbert, and they locked up Mike Williams. Kudos to them for getting that deal done. So they lock up Mike Williams. They have Keenan Allen already. I think, need to add another running back. They've been trying, but for whatever reason, Austin Eckler is awesome. Okay. And I remember when I used to shit on Austin Eckler, he's effing awesome. But I think there needs to be another guy behind him. And the problem with that is they keep trying, swinging, and missing. I don't love any of the guys that are behind Austin Eckler, but that's no here nor there. They really need to address the tight end position, is what they really need to do. Okay, they had Hunter Henry. He's now gone. They had Jared Cook Jr. He's gone, and he wasn't as good as they thought he was going to be for them. They really need to get Justin Herbert a security blanket. And if they can do that, that offense is close to being complete. They got a lot of weapons out there. So now they look at the defensive side of the football and they say, we got Joey Bosa on one side, and when he's healthy, he's still among the best in the league. We like Uchenna Nwosu. Okay, we like him. We don't love him opposite of Joey Bosa. We can do better there. But just think about a defense with now Bosa, Uchenna Nwosu, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, and the bevy of linebackers that they can throw at you, Drew Tranquil and all of these guys. Just imagine how athletically gifted and ferocious that front can be if they get all those guys on one accord and healthy and playing at a high level. That defense, and we know if you give, look, we don't know about, and we question some of Brandon Staley's methods as a head coach going forward and being uber aggressive in situations where a lot of coaches and a lot of fans are like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this? You don't need to do this at this juncture of the game. That said, that's his MO. That's his thing. Okay. We said the same thing about Doug Peterson when he first came in the league, and the next year he was winning the Super Bowl. So we've seen this work before. Let's not act like we haven't seen coaches go rogue and start being over the top with being aggressive. We've seen this before. However, he took it to a new extreme, did Brandon Staley. He just took what Doug Peterson did and he essentially injected steroids to it. However, we can question him as a head coach. Does he make the right in-game decisions? The thing you can't question with Brandon Staley is what he can do with the defense when you give him talent. So if going out and getting Khalil Mack, already having Joey Bosa, having Derwin James, having Uchenna Nwosu, having these guys, and if they somehow come away with a starting caliber corner in this free agency period, whether it's J.C. Jackson or they find a way to trade for a guy like James Bradbury, if they somehow come away with a corner that will give them a tandem on the outside with the young fella they drafted in Asante Samuel Jr., and you tag team him with a starting caliber number one grade A top choice corner, that defense is complete. Then he'll have them looking like the Rams did his last year in Los Angeles. So to me, this is a big time move for the Chargers, because in that division with Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr, who you have to see 6 times in a calendar year, you got to be able to stop them. The rest of the teams around the league, they can try to outpoint them. They're only going to see them once, maybe twice if they play them in the playoffs. You're going to see them twice. You may see them a third time. You can't try to get into a track meet with them. That's not sustainable. What is sustainable is kicking their ass defensively and getting them off the field. That's what you've done to Kansas City the last 2 years. Nobody else in the division is doing it quite like you to Kansas City. They're afraid of you. Adding Khalil Mack makes you even more dangerous. But now the Broncos aren't afraid because they've got a quarterback for the first time in a long time. And the Raiders showed you last year that they weren't afraid of you either, even though you pushed them to the limit. So what do? Everybody else is getting guns and shit. Everybody else is getting more weaponry. We're going to add some to the table too. You can't beat them, join them. In this case, you're trying to beat them because everybody else is adding offensive weaponry. You're like, nah, we're going to go get some more defense. And that's been the Chargers' thing, is everybody else wants to get faster on offense. You know, the Chargers, they're not one of these teams that's out here drafting these first-round wide receivers and trying to get faster to keep up. The Raiders did that. The Broncos did that, trying to keep up with the Chiefs. The Chargers were the only one that took the defensive approach. To hell with that. We're not going to outscore them. We're not even going to try to outpoint them 38-35. That shit gets exhausting. You know what we can do? We can grind their ass to a halt. We can beat them 27-24. We can beat them 29-24. We can beat them 30-26. We're not doing that 38-35 shit. We're not doing the 41-38 shit. That's exhausting. That's hard to do. You know what you can do, though? Slow their asses down. And that's what you've done better than anybody else in the division. And I think you might have even taken that to another level now with the addition of Khalil Mack. I got so many puns. I'm not going to. The Mack attack. The Mack is back. Return of the Mack. I mean, we could go on and on and on. At the end of the day, the Chargers, and I've read articles, I've seen takes where people say the Chargers didn't get any better. What? Now, again, assuming Khalil Mack gets back to where he was, and I'd like to think that he'll be rejuvenated in LA with the Chargers. New scene, new hope. It was getting hopeless in Chicago. I think hitting the reset button, getting a new team, getting a new opportunity is going to revitalize him. He's still an elite pass rusher and dominant against the run. So for those out there that say they didn't just get better, I mean, what? What are you talking about? Of course they got better. For the Bears, this is a win-win for everybody involved. The Bears stink, and they're going to stink in 2022. They won't come out of their funk potentially until 2023, and they're hoping that Justin Fields shows them that he's a legit option at quarterback in 2022, despite the losses that are piling up. They hope that he shows them, similar to Justin Herbert in year one, where he showed them, hey, I'm the guy. They didn't win a lot of games, but they won, 6-7 games? But he showed them, hey, I'm the guy. That's what the Bears are hoping for. Show us you're the guy so that we can then go all out in 2023 when the books get freed up. And we got some more draft compensation coming our way. So they feel good about what they did. The Chargers feel good about what they did. The Bears are going to get from under that contract. The Chargers are like, look, we're looking to compete in this division. We're right there. We're close. We just missed the postseason. We're looking to not only make the postseason, but when we get there, why we can't be what the Cincinnati Bengals were last year. Why we can't take a young quarterback that was drafted in 2020 and ascend from a non-playoff team all the way to the Super Bowl. We feel like we're at that point now. Let's go ahead and push the button. So they just pushed the button. Let's see what those results are. But I love the move for both teams, really, both parties involved. But I love this for the Chargers because what it says to me is, hey, we ready to win now. We believe in our guy. We think he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Let's go get it done right now. I love it. Want more of it. So anyway, I digress. Let's transition to our next segment. This is where you guys take over the show. Social media maneuvers. I'm a midday marauder. I actually literally mean that today. So let's jump into your comment section. Your comments, you know what this is. If you want to jump to the front of the line, the way to do that is via the super chat function. If you just want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTeeLive. It's open season. Anything you want to discuss that is pertinent and within the framework of this thing we love and call the National Football League, shoot, have at it. So use the hashtag LouieTeeLive. Let's get to the comment section and see what we have. Let's see. See if we got any comments. See, y'all might make it easy on me today. Patman D3, we got a brand new member of the MOBB. My guy, Pac-Man D3, felt like you were already a member, but maybe I was just tripping. Anyway, stand up. You are officially a member of the MOBB. Glad to have you, Mob. You know what to do. Open your arms wide and show my guy, Pac-Man D3, some love. Really appreciate you, Pac-Man D3, not just for what you provide for me here on the LouieTeeNetwork, but also on my other channel on the Card Collector series. So I thank you for your support on both ends. And now, love the fact that you are a member of the MOBB. Welcome to the squad. All right. See you now. Got one here from Likely Phenomenon. It's been a while, man. LP, good to hear from you, man. I know you over there doing your thing too, so good to hear from you, LP, who writes, long time, bro. How you been? I said the same thing. It's been a while, man. I've been good. He says Khalil Mack is still a game record. I couldn't agree with you more. There are people out there spewing this nonsense about how that he's not a game wrecker and that, you know, the best of Khalil Mack has come and gone and that he's washed. Really? Okay. At 30 years old, he's washed? Okay. All right. Cool beans. Let's see. Got a super chat here from Dejan Bell. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Dejan writes, Lou, will we have an opportunity for the Honey Badger? We will. Again, just like every other, you know, player that has the option, does he want to come here? Because again, we swung on him the first time he was a free agent when he went to the Houston Texans. We missed. We swung again after because he only signed a one-year deal with Houston. We swung again. We missed. He decided to go to Kansas City because he was chasing a chip. He got that chip. Now, is he in a position where he's looking to get paid, or is he want to go to another team where he feels like he can win a Super Bowl? If the latter is the option, then he's not coming to Washington, because I can't imagine him feeling like we're on the cusp of doing something great. If he's looking to be a veteran presence and get paid all the while doing so and continuing to play at a high level to maybe strengthen a Hall of Fame case, then maybe he decides to come here. Maybe he decides to come here. But if he's looking to win right now and get paid all the while, he may not get paid as much as he could coming to a place like Washington, but there's a happy medium of getting paid and actually having a chance to win. That's not us. So will we have a shot? Sure. But it really just boils down to, if we are looking to add a veteran at the position, which I can't say that we are. I mean, they haven't made it abundantly clear that that's what they're looking to do. And does he want to come here? And that's really, to me, always the bigger question. If a guy's willing to come here, then you can do whatever it takes to get him here. Obviously, our cap situation isn't ideal, but I told you, I don't worry about that. There's a way around all of that. If you really want a guy, you can make it happen. His base salary could be $1.5 million this year. The money isn't an issue, because you can backload a contract. You can give him a bunch of bonus money, so he's getting all of his money up front and not have it. A lot of his money could be moved to next year's cap, and he has a huge cap number next year. Like, there's so many things you can do, so the cap isn't an issue. JP, my guy John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy John Perez writes, would you like Zach Ertz or OJ Howard in Washington to pair with Wentz, who's very familiar with Ertz in Philly? I don't know if I want him to have a best buddy here in Washington. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't want him forming any cliques or factions. I don't want him isolating himself with Zach Ertz. I don't want him starting to dial in on Zach Ertz and forcing the football to him. I'm good on Zach Ertz. I like Zach Ertz. Think he got some good football still left in him, but I would leave him alone. I'd rather go after OJ Howard or a guy in the draft or something like that. I would not go after Zach Ertz, just because, again, everything that I talk about with Carson Wentz comes from a mental standpoint. It's nothing physical. Everything's mental. And you have to be very particular in how you attack Carson Wentz and how you surround him. I actually think bringing in a guy like Zachary Ertz is a negative. It's a negative. All right. Let's see if we have any more. Kevin, the PRF says, how many pups think Wild Wild West is a Will Smith song? A lot of them do. A lot of them do. And they're not wrong for that. My problem with the youth of America is they don't ever go back and study to figure out where things come from. They just assume that it's brand new. Okay. And I was always one, like, I'm always one that wants to know, where did you sample that from? Because nobody does anything original anymore, right? So I always want to know, what is that a sample of? And I'm a connoisseur. I told you that already, of music, specifically R&B. So I go all the way back to the 70s. So I know my ear is trained. It's keen. I know when I hear something like, oh shit, that sounds like a sample of Isaac Hayes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll hit me quick. Like, I heard that before. You know what I mean? And I know when I hear something, and then I'll go and check the credits, and sure enough, it'll be there. So, but kids don't do that today. You know, they hear something and they think, oh, that's dope. And they don't realize that's really SWV, right? That's not a new song. That's an old song. Like, you know, that's not actually, you know, their original song. That beat you're listening to, that melody you hear, that's not there. But it doesn't matter. They don't care about that stuff. I do. I'm old. I care about that stuff. Derek V, thank you for the comment, who writes, I'm relieved from the Wentz deal. Realistically, knew no big name QB would come here and we would be the last choice for free agent quarterbacks. Also, don't trust front office to draft a quarterback from this class. I don't think I do either. Sadly, I told you I'm going to give them the benefit, Pebble style. So I'm not going to 100% co-sign on that last statement of I don't trust them to find a quarterback in this draft class, but I kind of feel that way too. But I'm not going to put that into the atmosphere. So I'm going to continue to say what I've been saying, which is I'm going to give them the benefit. I'll be giving them the benefit. I'm going to continue to give them the benefit because I always say this about players in the draft, specifically guys that are drafted at tackle, that played tackle in college, but are being relegated to guard duty, to being kicked inside. I always say, hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity, much like we did with Brandon Sheriff. We drafted Brandon Sheriff 5th overall to be a tackle. We practiced him at tackle for one practice, and they said, he's a guard. I'm going to give you a chance to prove to me that you can do it or you can't do it. Either way, you're going to prove it to me. Okay? I feel the same way with this front office. In my mind, most times when a guy is drafted, you say he's a guard. Okay? He played tackle, he's a guard. But I'm going to give him a chance to play tackle and see what he does in camp. And if he shows me quickly he's a guard, he's a guard. I knew Sadiq Charles was a guard. I tried to convince myself he was a tackle, but I said he's short, he's got short arms, he's a guard. They gave him a chance to play tackle. I saw him play tackle last year. He's a guard. Okay? Let me reiterate this. He's a guard. Sometimes you know, and I think I know with this front office, but I'm going to give them the opportunity to show me otherwise. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but we'll see where it takes us. Anyway, I kind of agree with you, though, Derek B. Thank you for the comment. Got another super chat here from Jeff Antonio. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Even though I don't trust you, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. You still my guy, Jeff. My guy, Jeff Antonio, writes, hey, Lou. He said, would we have been better off with Trubisky instead of Wentz? I know Wentz has talent, but he seems like he makes bad decisions at clutch moments. I don't think we would have been better off with Trubisky from this standpoint, because I think most people feel like they know Trubisky isn't the answer. I think a lot of people feel like they know that Wentz isn't the answer, but you can't say that for sure because Mitchell Trubisky never played at an MVP caliber level. No one ever considered him in that conversation at all at any point of his career. We've had that discussion about Carson Wentz. There was never a point where we looked at Mitchell Trubisky and said, he's a part of the future wave of quarterbacks to take over this league. He's a part of the next generation that's going to take over this league at the quarterback position. At one point, we were lumping in Carson Wentz with the best of the best that this league had to offer when we started talking about young quarterbacks going into the future. Like, this league is in great hands because of, and then we started reeling off young quarterbacks. Wentz's name was in that group. It's never been the case with Mitchell Trubisky. So from a talent standpoint, no, they didn't make the wrong decision. Because Trubisky makes some poor decisions in critical moments too. Did they make the wrong decision from a mental aspect? That's debatable. And I just completed a video that you'll see later on this afternoon, kind of asking you guys the same question. But no, I don't think they made the wrong decision from that standpoint. From a mental standpoint, I'm still trying to digest what has happened and whether they made the right decision or not. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Ethan Dykes writes, Lou, love the show. Shout out to the 757 and ODU. You know what it is. Stand up. We always in the building. Always repping the 757. And you a fellow Monarch? You know what it is. Go Monarchs. Go Blue. Says, getting my master's there. Hoping Heineke plays this year. Can he strengthen his arm or decision-making? No, his arm isn't going to get any stronger than what it is. His arm is what it is. His decision-making could get a tad bit better, but he is what he is as a quarterback. I think a lot of people, the organization recognizes that. I think most of the fan base recognizes that. I was rooting like hell. I was telling my buddy, I was rooting like hell because there was someone in the comment section of the Carson Wentz video that said, I just want Carson Wentz to do well. I'm an NDSU alum, and I'm rooting for Wentz to do well. I don't even know if he was a Washington fan or not. He's like, I just want him to do well. There's nothing wrong with that. He went to your alma mater. You want to see that guy do well. It was the same way with Taylor Heineke for me. We don't have a lot of ex-Old Dominion University alma mater in the league, right? Like, I was rooting like hell for O'Shane Eximities. Really, I was rooting for him until he got to the Giants. But even then, I still wanted to see him do well. and he's been non-existent since he's gotten in the league. Like, there aren't a ton of these guys. So you root like hell for them. I was rooting like hell for Taylor Heineke, but he's a backup quarterback in this league. And I hope he doesn't play this year. As much as I love him, if he plays, something went terribly wrong. So I hope he doesn't play. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Dejan writes, double up. Let me go ahead and make sure I thank you for doubling up as well. Writes, what wide receiver creates the most space in this draft? If you're talking about horizontal separation, I think it's Chris Olave. I think he's the best route runner in this draft. If you're talking about vertical separation, guy that can just flat out run, there are a lot of those guys in this draft class that can just flat out pick them up and put them down. I mean, Olave is in that discussion as well, but I think his teammate Garrett Wilson is faster than him, plays faster than him on the football field. I think there are a bevy. A guy, Christian Watson out of North Dakota State, is a guy that consistently, now again, he played at North Dakota State. So you're talking about, a different brand of ball, but still he consistently got behind defenses when you watch him on tape. I mean, and there's so many other guys that can run, but I'd probably say Garrett Wilson is the guy that is the fastest, that creates the most separation at the receiver position. And there's some other really fast wide receivers in this draft class that don't offer you the size, that aren't 6 feet, that are 5'9", 5'8". There's some other guys that can run. There are a lot of guys. This draft is loaded with guys that can run. But if you're just talking about separation on a 12 back to 10, that's Chris Olave. Journey Reed, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Journey Reed writes, sup, Lou? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you as well. Says, I don't know about you, but I want a DB bad now with that 11th pick. Since we released Landon Stingley in our Buffalo nickel, much love. I don't view Stingley as a Buffalo nickel. Stingley is a cover corner. So if they draft Derek Stingley, he is going directly outside, opposite of William Jackson III. Then you ask yourself, well, what do we do with Kendall Fuller? You can never have enough corners, but that's when you would ask yourself, can Kendall rekindle the magic inside as a nickel? But Derek Stingley Jr. is not a Buffalo nickel. The Buffalo nickel is reserved for a safety, not a corner. So they wouldn't put a corner there unless it was a big physical corner. And at that point, he's still essentially a safety. They're more apt to put Cam Curl in that Buffalo nickel because that's where he played a ton of in his rookie season. They're more apt to put Cam Curl in that Buffalo nickel if they were to go out and get another safety that would relieve Cam Curl of his duties as the deep half, the deep center field safety. And again, Bobby McCain really took on a lot of that duty last year as the deep safety, but they rock and rolled and they had guys playing various positions, but they really had Bobby McCain doing the duties in the back end, which allowed Cam Curl to be more aggressive down around the line of scrimmage. And they're not afraid to put him in that Buffalo nickel situation if they want to go with 3 safeties on the field. So it'll be interesting to see if they go and get another safety, kick Cam Curl back down to that Buffalo nickel, which I think is his more natural position, or if they keep Cam Curl, a little bit further away from the line of scrimmage because of his ability to play the cornerback position and kind of that flexibility he gives you as a guy that'll come down the alley, hit you, but also can drop over the slot and play some nickel. They may keep him, in that free safety / strong safety rock and roll role instead of the Buffalo nickel, which is primarily down around the line of scrimmage. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. There's so many things, and the possibilities are now endless at 11, and it still could be quarterback for all we know. I've already said I wouldn't draft one, and I don't think it's smart. And I've laid out the reasons why, and I did it again in the video that you'll see today. I've laid out reasons why it's not smart to do that if you're Washington, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. And again, like my guy Derek B said earlier, this is not the group necessarily that you trust to get this thing right. You know what I'm saying? So they may still in their minds not understand who they're dealing with in Carson Wentz and decide, hey, we love this guy at 11 and take Malik Willis. even though they have no intentions of playing him. You just drafted Jalen Hurts all over again if you do that. And not just because I think Malik Willis plays like Jalen Hurts. Like literally, you're doing it all over again. Kyle, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy Kyle. Writes, hey Lou, TGIF. Likewise, appreciate that. He says, you think Cousins is shipped to Indy? It's not out of the realm of possibility, you know. And with us taking on Carson Wentz's full contract, it freed up a ton of cap space for the Colts to be aggressive and go after a guy like Kirk Cousins. But the rumor mill has shifted to them being interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. He won't cost them nearly as much as Kirk Cousins will. And he's a proven commodity. He's a winner. And like we shit on Jimmy G, and rightfully so at times, because he doesn't do anything special. He has a lightning quick release. That is his greatest superpower, is that his release is ridiculously fast, probably the fastest in the league. That said, he's immobile. He is a guy that will make poor decisions. But when you give him what the 49ers have presented him with over the last 4 years, which is a strong run game and elite level defense, he's shown you what he's capable of doing. He took them to the Super Bowl 1 year and had them within 10 minutes of winning the Super Bowl. And he took them to the NFC Championship game another year. And if Jaquiski Tartt catches the football, they win that game, and they're playing in the Super Bowl again this year. So in Indianapolis's mind, they're saying, look, a lot of people want to shit on Jimmy, and that's cool. But the 2 times he had elite defense and an elite run game, he went to the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game. We have an elite defense and elite run game here. So if he can do that in San Francisco, he can do that here. And we play in the AFC South, which is one of the worst divisions in football, not the NFC West. So if he can do that in the NFC West, he should be able to dominate here in the AFC South. So I think that's what they're thinking. And that's why they're interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. It won't cost them a lot in draft capital, and it won't cost them a lot in terms of salary cap space either. So while I think they're interested in Kirk Cousins, I don't think that's their first choice. Got another super chat here from Kevin the PRF. Thank you for the super chat, Kevin the PRF. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, if the universe stays consistent, whatever quarterback we would have drafted at 11 will get drafted by Seattle and be a Pro Bowler for a decade. We can't say what quarterback we would have drafted. If any of these quarterbacks, and this is the thing that fans do of teams that have been abused the way that we've been abused, if any quarterback in this draft class turns out to be good, and it could be Carson Strong, a guy that we know damn well we weren't going to select at 11, right? But if any of these quarterbacks, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, especially Willis, Corral, or Kenny Pickett, if any of these guys turn out to be good and they were on the board at 11, so let's say Kenny Pickett goes 15th overall. He's the first quarterback taken, and it's at 15. If any quarterback goes after the 11th pick and turns out to be a really good quarterback, that's going to fall back on us. We made a mistake. So you can't win in this situation if any of these guys turn out to be good and they were on the board at the time of our selection. You can't win. It'll be the Justin Herbert conversation all over again with Chase Young. Should have taken Herbert. Well, you didn't know what you didn't know what you had in Dwayne yet, and you didn't love Justin Herbert then. Everybody's got revisionist history, but you didn't love Justin Herbert then. A lot of people didn't. I didn't either. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I did. But and we don't love these quarterbacks, but I guarantee you if one of them turns out to be a stud 3 years from now, a lot of people will say, we should have taken this guy. You didn't love that class back in 2022. Stop. You didn't love them. You wanted to pass on the quarterback position. And that's not everybody. There are some people that are still screaming, take a quarterback at 11. Thank you for the super chat, Kevin, the PRF. All right. I'll grab a couple more comments and then we will get out of here and transition and let you guys get on with your day. Kevin, the PRF says, in honor of Khalil Mack going west, LT traded up his East Coast tee and ball cap for his West Coast black Scully and plaid. Boys, hashtag boys in the hood. I'm trying to get out of here when I'm done, and I needed to be already dressed when I was done. So that's all that is. And the Scully is actually navy blue. I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not. It might look black, but it's actually navy blue. But and yeah, I do have on a plaid shirt, so it does look like I'm trying to go West Coast, but I don't have it buttoned all the way to the top though. Anyway, I digress. Likely Phenomenon says, "Why? Why? Please tell me where you got that from, bro." It's actually a pastor that said it during one of his sermons. That it always cracks me up when he says it. So I just went ahead and I bit that a little bit. I bit his style and made it fresher. That's all. Richie, thank you for the comment, who writes, "You need to do another lucky envelope. That was literally priceless. You might get a Carson Wentz." I definitely don't want to do that. I would be disappointed if I did that and got a Carson Wentz. So let's see. Likely Phenomenon says, "Whoever said the Chargers aren't better, they need to wash their face and get their mind right. LOL." I couldn't agree with you more. They definitely need to do that. My girl Condo P says, hashtag get Louie T to 20K. Speaking of which, that's the perfect segue, Condo P. Thank you for bringing it up, because I was going to forget about this again. We're going to do some things. We're going to have some giveaways for 20K. It's a big milestone for me. I mean, I've been chasing after it for a decade now, and it'd be great to hit it sooner rather than later. So as we continue to close in on 20K, I'm going to have more details with what I'm doing, but we're going to have a massive giveaway when we hit 20K, because it's a big deal. And all of you are part of me hitting 20K. So I want to make sure that I give back to you guys, because without you, it doesn't happen. It's not even remotely possible without you guys. So thank you guys, all of you out there. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Condo P, for being essentially my assistant. I really do appreciate all of you and everything that you guys do and all the value that you bring to the Louie T Network. So keep that in mind. I can just tell you this. I'm giving away a Louie T Network Letterman jacket. That's going to be the biggest giveaway of them all, but they're going to be different tiers of giveaways. So stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to doing that. Just my way of saying thank you to all of you out there. So thank you for that, Condo P. Pac-Man D3 writes, midday marauding. Nothing better than being at work and getting paid to watch Louie T, man. It's nothing wrong with getting paid to sit around and kick it on the clock. It's, you know, I don't miss my former life, but there were some good times sitting around shooting the shit, you know, getting paid on the clock to do nothing. But I don't miss that at all. But if you do have to be on the clock, it's nice to get paid to do nothing. That's for damn sure. Let's see. Got another super chat here. This one is from Michael White. Thank you for the super chat, Michael White. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Michael writes, I think Detroit is the sleeper to come up from 32 if the quarterback seal hasn't been broken yet to get to the 11th pick. That's interesting. I don't know if I'm Detroit, if I'm willing to trade all the way. You got to love a guy. And if you truly love the guy, if you're Detroit, you just take him the first time around instead of giving up draft capital to have to come back up to get that guy. Yeah, there may be an elite talent there in like Aiden Hutchinson or, you know, Kayvon Thibodeau that you might want to select. But if you truly love the quarterback, that trumps. As we saw as Washington fans, edge rusher is cool, but quarterback trumps that. If you don't have that guy, then you need to get the quarterback. So I don't think this is a draft you come all the way from 32 up to 11 to select a quarterback. I don't think you now again, we said the same thing back in 17, and that's exactly what the Chiefs and the Texans did in getting Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. They came all the way from the back end of the draft in the first round to 10, and I think Watson was like 13 or something respectively to come up and get those quarterbacks, and look what it turned out to be. And a lot of people weren't looking at Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes in the light that we're looking at them now. Clearly, they weren't, because Mitchell Trubisky went second overall in that year's draft. So that tells you all you need to know. So while we're sitting here shitting on this quarterback class, it could turn out to be, some gems sitting here that we just need to be uncovered, shined up, and displayed for the world to see. So maybe you could be right. We'll see. Michael Rojas, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Michael writes, I think Atlanta is the best spot for a quarterback to develop, not at the 8th pick. And again, in this year's draft, the beauty of it is you don't have to spend your top 10 pick on a quarterback because it doesn't warrant that. You can wait until the second round. There will still be 2 or 3 of these guys. I think there are 6 quarterbacks that are draftable that could potentially move the needle down the road. You don't have to spend a first-round pick on a guy to still get someone that you could develop for the future. There will be a quarterback still there when the Falcons come back around in the second round, at 38 or 37 or wherever they are in the second round. There will still be a quarterback there waiting for them to select if they so choose to do so. Anyway, I digress. All right, so let's transition to, and somebody asked about Landon Collins, and I didn't address that on my video that I'm putting out. Kevin the PRF right here says Landon Collins move. Thoughts? I talked about this already. I told you that this was a realistic possibility. And I find it interesting that Landon, spoke about this already. Josina Anderson had a tweet that kind of sums it up. And I'm not mad at Landon for this. So Josina Anderson tweeted out yesterday when the news of Landon Collins potentially getting released came down. I told you if they needed that bread, they would go straight to Landon Collins. And apparently they already did. They went to Landon Collins, said, bro, you about to be making like 14 milli this year. That's way too much. Hey, come on. Take a pay cut. He was like, all right, cool. You're right. That's a lot of money. I'll take a pay cut. And then they went out and got Carson Wentz. And then they came back to the table like, hey, Landon, buddy, come on in, man. Sit down. Yeah. Remember when we asked you to take a pay cut and you said yes? Would you be willing to take another one? Just a small, slight adjustment to the one that we asked you to take before. He was like, come on, bro. Seriously? Another pay cut? No, man. I'm not taking another cut. Come on, Landon. We're good for it, man. We'll kick it back to you down the road, man. Come on. He's like, hell no. I'm better off taking my chances in free agency and just letting the chips fall where they may. He's like, come on, Landon. We don't want to do this. You twisting our arm here, bro. We didn't know we was going to have to get Carson Wentz. Come on, man. He's like, man, I can't help you. I already agreed to take 1 pay cut. 2 pay cuts, man, y'all killing me. So Landon had to make a decision. I don't blame him. He was willing to take the first pay cut. You come back at me and you say, hey, bro, I need a little bit more. No. At this point, I might as well go out here. I knew I wasn't going to go out on the free agent market and get $10, $11 million. So I was willing to take a pay cut to come down to 8 or 9. You want me to take another pay cut and come down to like 5 or 6? I might as well go on the free agent market. I can get $6 million on the free agent market. So I might as well just go on the free agent market and get my $7-8 million then. So I don't blame Landon. I don't blame him at all. But we knew, I told you, if cap becomes an issue, the first guy they're going to go to is Landon Collins. That's 6 and some change right off the top. So they're going to Landon right off the bat. And I wouldn't be shocked if we hear about a restructure or, somebody else taking a pay cut. We don't have a lot of big time contracts on the books right now. But if they go to Jonathan Allen and say, hey, Jonathan, let me restructure that shit we gave you last year. Give you some upfront money, pull that base down a little bit this year. And Jonathan will probably say, yeah, go ahead. I'll take some more of my money up front. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that. But for the most part, a lot of these dudes aren't on long-term deals. So we'll see what happens. Anyway. All right. Let's get to our final segment of the show. And that's garbage time. And I just want to leave the show on this note. So I was delving into the Russell Wilson situation a little bit deeper because I told you when these trades happen, there's always more information that trickles out 24, 48, 72 hours later, you find out more. What happened? How did this divorce come to be? Or how did we get to a point where Matthew Stafford is traded from Detroit? And then there's this long article in The Athletic every time. Well, Matthew Stafford's long-awaited exit from Detroit. And then there's this long expose. This one with Russell Wilson. Wilson's breakup with the Seattle Seahawks. And so you get the meat and potatoes of what went down and how this was a process. And things were coming undone behind the scenes. We saw this. We saw it last year in the offseason when Russ started speaking out and the Seahawks was like, bro, what you doing? What you doing? You know, we don't run our ship like that. We don't operate like that. You got an issue, you come talk to us. You don't air us out on the Dan Patrick show. You don't go on a campaign tour for us to go out and acquire more guys that you see fit to help. Come on, Russ. You know how we do business around here, man. You stepping outside of the box. You out of bounds right now, man. You coloring outside the lines. So we saw that this thing was starting to come undone, a bit at the seams. But Russ took it a step further. He was like, yo, these boys was trying to tarnish my legacy. Felt like my shit was starting to go downhill. Interesting. He didn't love what they were doing, offensive coordinator wise. His guy got fired last year. And so Russ wasn't happy. He felt like they were starting to tarnish his legacy. And look, he hasn't won an MVP. Last year, you could argue was his worst season of his career, obviously from a statistical standpoint, with the record and him getting injured, him missing the first games of his career. It was not an ideal situation. But before the injury, and I keep saying this, before the injury, he wasn't playing all that well. And some of that had to do with their new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, who wasn't doing a great job. And so Russ was like, what are y'all trying to sabotage me? Is that what y'all trying to do? All right. I see what y'all doing over there. All right, I want out. So it was a lot going on there. That situation was convoluted. He felt like they were going in a different direction, and that direction didn't include him. He didn't think he had enough say-so as a franchise quarterback in what was going on there. He felt like there were other guys around the league that had a little bit more input as to what was going on. And he felt like they were going in a direction that was making him look bad. Interesting. And the Seahawks, they could feel it, and so they said, okay, it's time for us to part ways. Because if we don't get rid of you and we make this a us versus, you versus us thing, they're going to choose you. Because we're replaceable. So let's get rid of his ass before they get rid of our ass. That's what they essentially did with Russ. So it was an interesting read. It's just another layer and more insight into how these quarterback, head coach, GM type of dynamics work. And when you see a coach and a quarterback together for many years and they're harmonious, it's a rare thing, really, because when I think about Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin, it's rare that two guys are together that long and they love each other. Look at Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Brady couldn't stand Belichick, and Belichick really respected the hell out of Tom Brady, but he wanted to move on from Tom Brady before they traded Jimmy Garoppolo. It's rare that guys like that coexist for a long period of time. So I'm not shocked that ship had sailed and it had run its course, and Russ wanted out, and they were like, you know what? I think it's time for us to get out of the Russell Wilson business as well. Again, nobody ever wants to actually suck, and no one actually volunteers and willingly says, hey, we'll go into the quarterback wilderness. That seems like fun. Now, no one usually looks to do that, which is what the Seattle Seahawks just volunteered to do. Now, Russ might have told them behind the scenes, I want to play for y'all. Trade me. But if he didn't say that, if he just said, hey, if y'all thinking about trading me, it's cool. I'm down. But if y'all want me here, I'll stay. If that was how he proposed it to them, there's no way I would have traded him, because now you stink. And there's no guarantee that you get out of this quarterback wilderness. Take it from me, a guy that's a fan of a team that's been wandering through the quarterback wilderness for over 30 years now. And if you want to be literal, if we're getting technical, we haven't had a franchise quarterback since Joe Theismann in the mid-'80s, if you want to keep it a buck. because our Hall of Fame head coach won a Super Bowl with 3 different starting quarterbacks. So we truly never actually had a franchise quarterback since Joe Theismann. So if we keeping it a buck, it's been 40 years. We've been wandering through the quarterback wilderness. You don't want to go there. But like I said, you're back to being where you were when you had Tavares Jackson. Good luck. You're going to need it. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T, and the 244th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend. You know what it is. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. I got a Washington video coming out for you guys to digest. So be on the lookout for that coming down the pipeline here shortly. Enjoy your weekend, and then we will reconvene on Monday. And anything crazy. Fletcher Cox is a name to watch because the Eagles were this close to trading him at the trade deadline last year. I actually thought they were going to move him last year. They did not. Listen out for Fletcher Cox. He's another name that I think could move before the start of the new league year. I wouldn't be shocked if he got moved before we speak again. Not saying, just saying. Anyway, you guys enjoy your weekend. I will do the same. We'll come back, reconvene on Monday. You guys take care. LouieTeeNetwork.